Why did a seasoned motocross pro like Jeremy Lusk tragically crash while performing a trick he'd mastered countless times? The surprising details behind his fatal accident are as shocking as they are heartbreaking. But to truly understand what happened, we need to rewind and start at the very beginning. Jeremy Lusk's journey into the world of freestyle motocross began when he was just 3 years old in San Diego, California. Picture a young boy, barely big enough to grip the handlebars, already enthralled by the roar of a dirt bike engine. What started as innocent childhood fun quickly grew into a fiery passion. By the time he turned 19, Jeremy had turned that passion into a career, becoming a professional rider. And just 2 years later, he achieved a major milestone in the sport, mastering the backflip, an iconic and dangerous move in freestyle motocross. This wasn't just a trick, it was a defining moment, marking Jeremy as a rising star. In 2006, his talent caught the attention of the FMX powerhouse, Metal Mulisha. Joining their team was like stepping into the big leagues, and Jeremy didn't waste a moment proving himself. That same year, he made his competitive debut at the Do Tour, wowing the crowd and earning an impressive fourth-place finish, a clear sign of the greatness to come. But Jeremy wasn't like everyone else in the scene. Freestyle motocross in those days had a reputation for being loud, wild, and chaotic, with a live fast mentality that many embraced. Jeremy, however, was different. He was focused, disciplined, and completely dedicated to his craft. His goal wasn't just to keep up, it was to push the limits of what was possible on a dirt bike. Even Brian Deegan, the founder of Metal Mulisha, reflected on how the sport was evolving. In the early days, riders would just wing it, relying on raw talent and guts. But as the stakes rose, so did the level of commitment. Jeremy epitomized this new breed of rider, one who combined natural ability with intense preparation. He spent hours training, perfecting his tricks in Deegan's foam pit, hitting the gym, and maintaining a clean, healthy lifestyle. His relentless work ethic earned him the nickname Pitbull, a testament to his grit and determination. But beneath that tough, fearless exterior was a kind-hearted, humble man. Jeremy was a devout Christian and deeply in love with his high school sweetheart, whom he married. In 2007, Jeremy burst onto the X Games scene, fearless and always ready to push the limits. He was the kind of rider who didn't just dream big, he went for it. During the freestyle semifinals that year, he decided to attempt one of the riskiest tricks in motocross, the heart attack backflip. Just the name of the trick sounds wild, right? It's exactly what it looks like, flipping the bike upside down, holding on with one hand on the handlebars and the other gripping the back. It's a move so dangerous that only the boldest riders even dare to try it. Jeremy, of course, wasn't one to back down, but as he launched into the air, something went wrong. He didn't get enough height, and the trick ended in a crash.
The throw down right now.
Yeah, he's going to do the look back, heart attack, Indian air, he said, over the...
And a tough break.
Still, that crash shook him. For months, he couldn't bring himself to try the heart attack backflip again. He later admitted to ESPN how nervous he was every time he thought about it. But Jeremy wasn't the kind of guy to let fear win. By 2008, he was back, and better than ever. That year was a turning point, where he transformed from a promising young rider to one of the greatest in freestyle motocross. He won gold in freestyle at the X Games, silver in best trick, and made history by landing the first ever double grab heart attack backflip on dirt, and that was just the beginning. He also snagged a bronze at the Moto X World Championships, gold and silver at the X Games Mexico, and finished third overall in the Do Tour.
Let's hear it. Riding a yellow for Jeremy Lusk.
His incredible 2008 season earned him the title of Freestyle Rider of the Year from Trans World Motocross. Jeremy wasn't just chasing medals, he was building a legacy. As he once said, you can either be a one-hit wonder or a true icon. And Jeremy was becoming that icon, flying through the air, pulling off mind-blowing tricks on his 250-pound bike, and inspiring fans around the world. But then, something terrible happened. On February 7, 2009, Jeremy was gearing up for the X Nights motocross competition in in Costa Rica. Fresh off a gold medal at the X Games and 2 more podium finishes in Mexico, he was riding a wave of confidence. But as he prepared to fire up his bike, something didn't feel right. Backstage, Jeremy confided in another rider that the ramps seemed off. The wind was strong that day, forcing organizers to set up barriers to help shield the riders. Even so, freestyle motocross competitions don't have set tricks. Everything depends on what the riders feel like pulling off in the moment. And with $10,000 on the line, the stakes were high. For riders like Jeremy, these events weren't just about winning trophies. They were about earning a living and keeping sponsors interested. Jeremy didn't let the strange conditions faze him. "It's like anything else," he said. "You just need to practice." With that, he pulled on his helmet and boots, kick-started his bike, and headed to the track. The wind was relentless, making it even more surprising when Jeremy decided to attempt a heart attack backflip, the same trick he'd crashed on back in 2007. It's a notoriously difficult move where you flip upside down, let go of the bike, stretch your legs out, and somehow manage to stick the landing. Jeremy had perfected it countless times before, but this time, something went terribly wrong.
Y es que a él le tocó viento porque en este preciso momento en que está él participando, nosotros también estamos aquí en la cancha y
Accidente.
bueno.
As he approached the ramp, Jeremy picked up speed and launched into the air. The crowd watched in awe as he flipped high above the ground, but mid-air, he lost control. Whether it was the wind or something else, he couldn't reconnect with the bike. Instead, he over-rotated and came crashing down head first into the dirt. The impact was devastating, so severe that his helmet shattered in 2. The scene was eerily reminiscent of his crash in 2007, but this time, the outcome was far worse. Jeremy lay motionless on the ground as medics rushed to his side.
Lo principal en este momento es que el competidor esté con salud, que el golpe haya sido dentro de lo normal.
They carefully placed him on a stretcher and raced him to the hospital, where doctors performed a 5-hour surgery to relieve swelling in his brain. Jeremy was placed in a medically induced coma to give his brain a chance to heal, but the updates weren't encouraging. Doctors began the slow process of waking him, but his responses were minimal. By the next day, signs of severe brain damage became clear, and his condition only worsened. On the night of February 9th, Jeremy's condition took a sharp turn. His heart and lungs began to fail, and on February 10th, 2009, surrounded by his loved ones, Jeremy passed away at just 24 years old. The hospital later confirmed he had suffered severe brain damage, along with a possible spinal cord injury. Freestyle motocross isn't just dangerous, it's downright wild. Riders soar through the air, pulling off insane tricks that seem to defy gravity. It's breathtaking to watch, but the risks are real. Injuries are part of the game, but Jeremy Lusk's death was something no one saw coming. He was the first professional rider to lose his life from a crash, and it sent shockwaves through the entire sport. Kyle Loza, another top rider, opened up about the dangers. "Freestyle motocross is the most dangerous sport," he said, "but we know what we're doing. We train hard every day. We're not reckless or crazy. We're professional athletes." He made a point, though, that stuck with everyone. You can get hurt doing anything, like skateboarding or football. Sometimes it's just your time to go. But in freestyle motocross, doing crazy tricks like the heart attack backflip is how you get famous. Riders like Travis Pastrana, Mike Metzger, and Brian Deegan had already been redefining the sport, pushing the limits with tricks like double backflips and 360 spins. But the risk was always there. These stunts had left riders with broken backs, concussions, and career-ending injuries. Even before Jeremy's accident, the heart attack backflip was known as one of the riskiest tricks, a move so dangerous it scared even the best of the best. Some riders had even walked away from the sport entirely, saying it had become too risky. Jeremy's tragic death forced everyone to take a step back and think about the safety of freestyle motocross. Was it the nature of the sport, or was there more to it? Some people pointed fingers at the track designs, questioning whether they contributed to the accidents. At the Costa Rica competition where Jeremy crashed, some riders had raised concerns about the ramps, saying they weren't tall enough to safely pull off tricks. On top of that, strong winds were whipping through the event, making conditions even more dangerous. Many wondered if the competition should have been canceled entirely. Big events like the X Games and Dew Tour however, go all out to prioritize safety, checking everything from the ramps to the weather conditions to ensure riders are protected as much as possible. However, the X-Nights competition in Costa Rica didn't have the same level of organization or safety standards. This highlighted a serious issue. Smaller events, especially those held outside the U.S., often don't meet the same safety benchmarks, and for riders pushing the limits of what's humanly possible, that can mean the difference between life and death. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.